some of the times I'd go out to the farm, I would go out in the woods and look at that John Deere sitting lonely by itself out in the woods, growing up in small trees and weeds and everything, and it's really sad looking. And my dad was still living then, and I talked to him. I said, you know, someday we should restore that tractor. And he said, well, if you want to do that, you can have it, he said. There's been some people that wanted to buy that, but I wouldn't sell it. So if you want to restore it, you can have it. So I said, well, I would really like to. So finally I thought I'd look at it and figured this, wow, where do I start? And I talked to Lyle about it, and he said, if you think about restoring that, you have a job on your hands. He said, that thing is completely shot. He said he couldn't even get it started. We had to pull it to get it started. And so I said, if you want a Model B John Deere, why don't you just go and buy one? It'd be much easier. And I said, well, I just don't want any Model B John Deere. I want this one. So anyway, I started a little bit about it, and then I took the radiator cap off, and I imagined that radiator leaks and, oh gosh, I'm doing all things. I was going to look in there, and the radiator was completely filled up with pieces of grass and leaves and what all was in there, I don't know. Just solid, right up to the top. So I thought, how in the world did all this get in there? And nobody would sit there and stuff it into the tractor. So then I thought, well, I was looking at the bottom of the radiator there, and there's a pipe coming out at the bottom, and that rusted a rusty hole in it. There was holes. So I thought it must have been mice could get through the hole, and they got inside of the radiator, and they dragged all that up to make nests out of it. So that's the only way I could think of that it would possibly get in there. And no bird could possibly get in there. So I made a little hook on a piece of wire, and I started pulling stuff out of there to clean it out. The radiator is one of the first things I started on. And I kept pulling stuff around in between the radiator core and the shell. And I kept cleaning, and finally I thought I must have got just about in. I got the wire in underneath in the bottom of the radiator, and pulled stuff out and clean. I thought, must have it all cleaned out. Finally thought I cleaned out. So then the next thing is to get that stub pipe out of the bottom of the radiator. There was rusted a hole in it, and there's a short rubber coupling between that and the engine. So I tried everything, the biggest wrench I could find down there, pipe wrench, no way to turn it. I put the rust remover in there and let it soak for I don't know how long, couldn't move it. But you couldn't use it the way it was. You had to get that out of it because it was rusted hole. And this big thread, this pipe is about this big around, and it's threaded into that cast iron shell of the radiator, where the radiator fits into. So I thought I'd put a punch or a chisel and a hammer, see if I could break it loose. Couldn't do it. Finally I kept pounding, and the pipe just collapsed. It rusted, it got so thin. So I kept pounding and pounded, and it folded together like this. Smaller and smaller and smaller in the hole, and it just collapsed. So I kept pounding on it, pretty soon it broke loose, and I could pull it out of there. So I thought, now, how am I gonna I went to John Deere and I told them what I needed, the part. And I looked there's the part number. That short piece of pipe, about this long and about this big around, steel pipe. threaded on one end, so you screw it in the radiator, and they looked it up. Oh, they said, we can order a new one. I said, wow, that'll be them. So they ordered my new, so I got that fixed. I got the radiator in shape. And so then I started, and I was stuck, and I couldn't turn it over. And put me in the eye coffee. At one time, I did get it to turn over, but then I waited a little while, and then it stuck again. The engine wouldn't turn. So then I took the head off, so I could see the pistons in it. And the one looked like it was kind of loose. It looked like when you turn it would move just a little bit. The other one's completely stuck. So I cut a piece of block, same size as the cylinder, about this big around, flattened, cut it to a thin line. I took a heavy sled and I kept tapping on the piston, see if I could get it to loosen. Wouldn't work. So I took a hydraulic jack and I put that on the block and up toward the front of the frame of the tractor, and I gave it a couple of pumps and pow, broke loose. It was just, I thought it was stuck in a rust, but it was just stuck in a carbon in the cylinder. So then I got it broke loose so you could turn the engine over. So then the valves were completely worn out, shot. That's why it wouldn't start. So I took the head in and got new valves put in it, ground the valves, put that in there. And then I thought I had to take the pistons out of there because the rings were completely worn out. So I took the connecting rods, took the back end of the tractor, took some plates off back there, and unloosened the connecting rods and pulled the pistons out. And then I thought, oh.
About time to give up, maybe.
Huh?
About time to give up?
Yeah. Then the cylinder walls looked pretty, there was some rust in there and they didn't look very good, so carbon stuck in there. And so then I took the whole block out of it, which was a big job. That's the main part of the engine.
Why don't you just quit?
Huh?
Why don't you just quit and give up?
God, well, I don't know. I think about it now, I don't know what kept me going. Must have been a challenge of seeing if you could possibly put this thing back in shape again.
Mm-hmm. I mean, do you need a tractor very bad? You need a tractor pretty bad?
Yeah, I needed a tractor so bad. And then being I got it free, my dad said, I give it to you if you want to restore
it. Free tractor?
I took the whole block out of it, and I took it over to Watts in the garage. He grind out cylinders, honing, they call it honing. And I brought the whole block out of it, and I took it over there, and he honed cylinders out. So when he got done, they were all shiny and cleaned out. And so they're pretty good shape. So he said, I don't think you need to put oversized pistons in it, just put new rings in it, he said. Not about the wrist pins were so loose, so in the piston, the wrist pins go on the end of the connecting rod. They're so loose, you could move them, okay? So I put new pins in there, wrist pins.
What caused those to be so loose?
Worn. Just plain worn out. You know,
How many hours do you think that tractor had?
I couldn't imagine 1,000 hours that thing had. And so then I said, well, I'll have to put new wrist pins in there and new rings. So I did that, and then I had to, the one thing led to another. I got further and further into the engine because everything was so worn out. I kept replacing parts. So finally I got everything in the engine replaced. The valves, the round valves, and I had to plane the head down because that was warped, and then I started putting it back together again. Got the block cleaned out and put new gaskets and put the engine back together again. And fortunately, there were the rods, connecting rods hooked onto the crankshaft. Back there, everything was nice and shiny because it was in oil. It was oil in the crankcase. There was no rust or anything back there. The crankshaft was just as shiny and the cranking rods.
So what kept you motivated through all this?
It was, I guess, the more you start on it, the more challenge you got to see, can I actually get this thing back in shape again?
Yeah.
So the more it kept, the more stuff I found out it needed to be done. Lyle knew what. He knew that ahead of time what I was going to run into, you know.
Uh-huh.
Well, then he said, like I said, if you're going to restore, you got a job in your hands. But he helped, you know. Lyle helped me with a lot of that.
Yeah.
And he was interested in helping. So I'd come out there, we'd both work on it. Maybe if Lyle hadn't helped me out, I maybe would have given up. But we, you know, it's kind of working together was kind of nice, you know.
Yeah.
We were both working together on this old relic. So then I got the engine, put the engine back together, and I had honed out the block, had new rings and new wrist pins and new valves. Valves were ground and part of it. And there was no cracks in the block or the head or anything, except there were a few little cracks in the head where the valves sit in the valve seat. So I had to get that fixed too. And so then the engine was that pretty good shape. Then the tires, of course, were completely shot. They was hitting on the rims, and the front wheels were gone, and somebody had been over there robbing parts off of it. So I found two wheels out there that fit on the John Deere. They were in the junk pile. And they were the same size.
Mm-hmm.
They looked like John Deere. They might have been. And then the magneto, Lyle had taken the magneto off and put it in the shed in a granary. So that had been out in the weather. That had been completely shot too. Maybe, I don't know, why did that cost too much still? So I put the magneto back in there, and then I've been working out in the woods all the time. We'd cut down the little trees around it and all the weeds and clean out around it so we could work around it. So finally one day I said I'd try to get it into town so I could get it under cover so you work on it. So I brought it into town to work on it, and then took the old tires off and put new tires on the front, and then.
Well, you know, I mean, did you get it? When did you get it started running? Did you?
Well, it was.
Did you get it started? Did you buy tires before you got it? Before you got it started?
Yeah. You couldn't move it, you know. Or I took got the old tires off and brought the rims into to Doug Norman, and he sandblasted the rims and got them all in good shape. And then put the tires on the rims, and then I brought the rims and the tires back in and put the tires on the tractor, so they had tires on it. Bought new tires for the front.
So you were pretty sure you were going to get it to run then. You're putting tires and you're just not sure it's going to run, or you think it's pretty sure.
So then I worked on the front wheels, and the bearings were, I jacked it up, and the bearings in the front wheels were loose. The wheels would wobble. In fact, the bearings, the roller bearings that fit in the front wheels, when I took the wheel off and pulled the bearing, they just fell apart. So I'm going to go to John Deere and see if I get some new bearings, and they could get them for me. So then I spent quite a bit of time repairing the front end of it, the steering and put new bearings in the wheels and got that all back in shape again. And then, so we had tires, new tires on the front, and then we got the tires on, and then I took the carburetor off, and that needed a lot of work on it. So I thought I can maybe, I didn't know anything about it. I'd never done any overhaul of an engine or, I didn't, tractor. So then John Deere was out there buying parts, and he said they could get a replica reprinted manual for it. To get all the information. I couldn't find the old manual out there. My dad kept just about everything, but I couldn't find the manual for the John Deere. So then I got a reprint from the factory, or I think the factory reprint, just like the original. Then that was a real good source of information. They told you everything how to do with the tractor. And then I got a parts catalog from John Deere, that's like the original parts. I could order parts. And that Kibble guys helped. And I walked in there in the front door and they said, "Here comes Verdi, he must be working on his bee again." They said. So the guys at John Deere, they kind of got a kick out of that there. They were so helpful trying to get parts. They'd call over and get on the computer, and they weren't making much money from all it, right? They ordered new gauges for me and oil gauge, and just like the original. Mm-hmm. And so they really helped a lot. So nice about it. I think they kind of got a little fun out of it too. Mm-hmm. And so one day we said, well, time to see if we can get it started. Well, then I talked about the carburetor. I don't know how much money I spent on the carburetor. I put a new kit in it myself. I replaced all the parts I could in it. I put it on a tractor, and it just leaked, and I couldn't. So I took it into, and I had different places that worked on it. Now, I better not mention the names because they weren't able to fix it. Anyway, finally, I got it running, but it would just run so rough and it would backfire and go. So I brought it out to Doug Norman. I said, it isn't running right, but maybe you can just work on it and paint it anyway. So I don't have so much trouble with that carburetor. Well, he said, we see what we can do with it. And he said, well. So they took it out to Goddess out there, and then he knew what to do with it. So he fixed it, and then he put it together, and then it run real nice. So then before they painted it, it was running real nice before they even painted it. Mm-hmm. So then Doug Norman, he sandblasted it and put a couple of coats of primer on it, and then he painted it and put all the decals back on and all that. It looked
brand new.
Nice. Then when he got all finished, and then I could go out there and help him. If he said, "You want to come out and help it a little bit," he can. Yeah, I said, I'd like to work a little more. Take some stuff off so you could paint and that, put it back on. And so then the day I drove it out of there, he said, I went out there, he said, he said, your toy is ready now, you can go out and play with it. After I have all the invoices of what I spent. But I don't dare look at them.
Yeah. So was it worth it?
Well, I think it was worth it because it's hard to believe how much that tractor's been used, especially with the family. And then we have our family reunion out at the farm, home farm. Mm-hmm. We get bay rides. People like to take hay rides, bay rack behind it, and many people had driven it. We put it in gear and drove around in the yard out at the farm. And so it's been used a lot and been a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Everybody's smiling.
Huh?
Everybody's smiling.
Yeah. And so actually, I guess the project was worth the effort to get. And I could hardly believe it myself when he finished painting and was standing. It looked like new again. It ran like new, and that from coming out of the woods, that was, I don't know.
It's like you're back when you're 15 years old, huh?
Yep. So I drove it. I hadn't driven it for how many years it was since I drove it. You know, I can't remember even driving it after World War II. But the last time I drove it, I was probably about 19 years old. Yeah. And I can't remember driving it after World War II. If I did, I can't remember it, because I'd go out to the farm and my dad had another tractor. I drove that some, but by that time maybe the John Deere was retired, maybe, I don't know. It was, well, they were still using it, but Lyle bought a bigger tractor and a newer tractor and everything. But the thing was, most farmers would trade the tractor off in on a newer one and keep updating, but my dad would never sell it, because that was the first new tractor he'd ever had, and he was going to keep it no matter what. Yes, he had that, and that's the only new tractor he did have, and he farmed with that from 1938 to, well, I'm not sure, just the last years, from in the 60s probably. That was in the 70s when I first started pecking away at it. And I'd putt with it for a while and take off some more stuff and replace some more stuff, and then I wouldn't work on it for probably a year or two. It would sit there, and then I'd go back and start working on it again.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. And finally, when I got to the point when the engine was back together, and all the parts were back in it, and tires on it, and I was ready to paint. Then he thought, well, but when we first started it, it ran so bad that you couldn't. So, and it would backfire, and it would, it's just terrible for it. But it started, and that had been started for, this would have been, what was it? What year was it when we first drove it again? It was
2000 maybe?
2000. So the first had been started for probably
40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
First time it had been started for me, probably 40 years, it's been sitting. And then it turned it over and primed it and turned it off. Oh, it started. Oh, that started. But it didn't run very good.
Yeah.
It just rough, backfired, and not be a challenge.
You still wonder?
Yeah, I think about it sometimes. Why?
I mean, the challenge motivated, but how much the challenge motivated you? But how much did it motivate you that this was your family's first tractor?
That's what kept me going, was that. If it had been any other job, I wouldn't have. If it hadn't been my dad's tractor, I would have gone out in the woods. I wouldn't even looked at it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have given it. I would never even think about it.
Because there's other challenges out there.
Yeah. And I sometimes wonder myself if I didn't say this is more than.
With the family connection.
It's the family thing. That was the whole reason that you worked on it. And it's just too bad that I didn't get it finished before my dad was still living, so he could have seen it. But
yeah.
But he was, when I was out there working on it, he was still living then.
Yeah.
He knew I was working on it. You know, that started when he was still, so
Yeah.
he knew what I was doing out there. But,
Yeah.
but by that time he couldn't walk, so he couldn't get out there and participate, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and I, like I said before, if Lyle hadn't kept helping me too, and
Yeah.
if he'd have completely ignored the whole business, you know, then I'd say, well, yeah, I guess there isn't anybody that cares about it. You know?
Yeah.
As long as somebody else was, even he had his doubts,
Yeah.
he still. So what motivated Lyle to go out there and work when he thought it was a hopeless case? He found the same as me. He thought, do you suppose that we possibly could get this thing looking... I even dreamt about that tractor when I was working on it. I dreamt that I was driving it and it looked like new again.
Mhm.
And at the time I never had any idea when I would get started to drive it. And I remember that one I was dreaming and I said, oh, that tractor looks like you can drive it around, it runs real good. And then I woke up, oh my gosh, that was just a dream. So I thought, well, maybe the whole thing was just a dream. Well, anyway, that was, and I have to say, I enjoyed working on it. I like to take bolts and replace everything under it. And I don't know how much money I spent on it. I know about for new tires and paint, that was the biggest expense. But if you'd
Well,
hired somebody,
then your hourly wage. Jeez.
if you'd have said to some, or brought one in to some mechanic and said, I would like things restored like new. And they would have just shake their head and he said, can you imagine what's going to cost you in labor?
Yeah.
And even at the time it cost you $50 an hour bring your car in the garage at that time even. And at $50 an hour, you'd had how many thousands of dollars invest in that tractor would have been completely out of the question.